Have you ever just desperately wanted to freeze a perfect moment? It's this incredibly universal human obsession, isn't it? I mean, we take thousands of pictures on our phones, we keep little souvenirs, we hoard memories, all of it just to hold on to things that are fundamentally, well, fleeting. Today, we're diving into how one of history's absolute greatest cinematic masters, Andrei Tarkovsky, chased after the eternal. But here's the kicker. He didn't do it through his massive, sprawling, serious films. He did it through tiny, instant Polaroid photographs.
So there's this fascinating little story that I think perfectly sets the stage for us. During a reconnaissance trip over in Uzbekistan for a film, another legendary director, Michelangelo Antonioni, wanted to give three elderly Muslim men a Polaroid photograph he had just taken of them. And the oldest man there, he just glanced briefly at the image, handed it right back, and asked a truly profound question. Why stop time? He just flat out refused the photo, leaving both of these world-famous directors standing there, absolutely speechless. Now, that reaction completely flies in the face of Andrei Tarkovsky's own mindset. He was always reflecting on how fast time flies. And unlike that elderly man, stopping time is exactly what he wanted to do. In fact, he became absolutely obsessed with the Polaroid camera. He basically used it as this delicate instrument to trap a very specific kind of melancholy. You know, that poetic, mysterious, and honestly almost painful sensation of looking at something as if you're seeing it for the very last time. Let's look at part one, the disposable medium. It's kind of a paradox, right? A master of monumental, deeply philosophical cinema using this cheap, disposable, instant film. But between 1979 and 1984, Tarkovsky used this exact medium to capture 60 luminous, eternal fragments of his life. And to really get these images, we have to trace his physical journey. It starts back in 1979 at his country home in Myasnoye, Russia, where he's just enjoying misty mornings, working in his garden, watching his dog, Doc. But then things shift into the early 1980s. He's in Italy, prepping for a film, but he's also enduring this painful, permanent exile from his homeland. He's agonizingly separated from his son and his dog, who were actually held hostage by the Soviet regime. And finally, this tragic descent ends in December 1986, in a sick room in Paris, where he was facing a terminal illness. The really crucial takeaway here is how he survived this immense homesickness and forced separation. The old wooden house you see at Ignatievo was his childhood home. And to anchor himself against the pain of exile, Tarkovsky actually pasted black and white photos of that house and of his parents right into a black diary that he carried with him literally everywhere. It was like a visual sequence of his life, a portable flashback he could just open and replay again and again just to keep himself grounded in reality. Which brings us to part two, the salamander of the soul. You see, for Tarkovsky, these photographs were so much more than just simple nostalgia. His physical journey was totally intertwined with this deeply philosophical, almost mystical understanding of existence. To him, time wasn't just, a sequence of actions or hours ticking by on a wristwatch. He saw it as an absolute, irrefutable fact of being. He beautifully called it the flame in which there lives the salamander of the human soul. He argued that history, evolution, those are just consequences. The real, raw substance of time is the cause that makes humanity incarnate in a moral sense. To put that into perspective, think of the typical Western linear idea of time. It's that Euclidean mechanism of cause and effect, getting things done, and basically viewing human history in the shape of a tragedy. But Tarkovsky? He operated on a totally different wavelength, an Eastern Orthodox vision. In his view, time is a state of spiritual being. It's this absolute condition of the soul where the past and the future actually merge together into one single definitive reality. And because of that worldview, the act of remembering takes on a completely new, profound meaning. It's definitely not some passive recording of the outside world. Remembering for Tarkovsky is an active, creative gamble of faith. It's a deeply personal re-evocation, a choice of love and mercy that literally liberates the heart from the pain of dead, finished events. It opens us up to a completely new way of life that's still intimately connected to the present. Now let's explore part three, art denying death itself. When you view time and memory as a state of the soul, the entire purpose of creating art shifts. For Tarkovsky, any true artistic image inherently excludes death, or at the very least, it sees in death a unique potential for affirming life. Even if a piece of art expresses absolute destruction or total ruin, the simple act of capturing it is an embodiment of hope. It's inspired by faith, and because of that, he believed there can be no pessimistic artists, only talent and mediocrity. This fierce, unwavering defiance of death was actually something deeply rooted in his family history. It totally echoes the powerful poetry written by his own father, Andrei Tarkovsky. Just listen to this line. Death does not exist. We are all immortal, and everything is immortal. He carried his father's belief that being and light are the only true realities, and that the future is happening right now, seated right at the exact same table with our ancestors. He even experienced this defiance of death vividly in his own subconscious. Tarkovsky recorded this wild, profound dream where he had died, but he could still feel exactly what was going on around him. He said he floated outside of his own corpse, watching his loved ones, and he felt this wave of a strange, aesthetic sadness, a pity for himself, as if his pain belonged to someone entirely different. But the crazy thing is, in that dream, time and fear completely ceased to exist. All that was left was just a pure, absolute awareness of immortality. And finally, part 4, a final unbroken moment. Bringing all of this heavy philosophy back to those tiny instant Polaroids, it's actually the physical nature of these photographs that completes his entire worldview. Because these images are so incredibly small, they force you to physically bow your head. You have to draw in close in this really humble, intimate gesture. You literally enter an unbroken moment of deep contemplation. And when you lean in, what do you see? You see this suffused light floating like fog over the immense plains of Russia. You see crystalline light penetrating the dark rooms of Italy. You witness the silent immobility of water pitchers, of flowers, of his dog just sitting in the grass. The light silhouettes every single figure, offering a glimpse of an eternal destiny, rather than just some sad regret for what's past. This ultimate intersection of his art and his life is just profoundly moving. Years earlier in his film The Mirror, Tarkovsky actually filmed a scene where he lay in a hospital bed holding a tiny bird. Well, at the very end of his life, this cinematic image became reality. In his sick room in Paris, the exact room where he passed away, a little bird would fly every single morning through the open window and come to rest on him. It's a breathtaking reality, a perfectly captured, eternal moment that just leaves us marveling at the mysterious, enduring beauty of life. So knowing all this about time and memory, what fleeting moment are you going to try to capture and make eternal today?